Okay, so we have finally hit the Game of Thrones Season 8 finale, the last episode of Game of Thrones ever. So it's very bittersweet here, knowing this last time you're seeing this, and just knowing that the journey is coming to an end we've been enjoying for years. And look, I went into this with very mild expectations, and you know what? I have to say, from all the crap this season is getting from fans, this felt like a cleanup job in a good way. I think that this episode made the past episodes actually look a little better. I think this episode was the best written episode of the season. I think this felt more like classic Game of Thrones and had a better pace to it. It wasn't rushed. Everything made sense. It had payoffs, and also this was maybe the only episode of the season that didn't have any silly moments that were just like, oh, that's awful or that's cringy. There wasn't all these mistakes like Starbucks coffee cups or Jon not petting Ghost, where he actually pets him this time. This one felt like the episode you wish you kind of got all season. So I have to give it props for that. Breaking down this episode, just from the beginning, I really thought it looked beautiful with all the debris kind of looking like snow, like winter had come, but in the form of debris. And seeing Dany in all black was kind of cool to me. I thought it felt very Darth Vader. Her whole story felt that way, like Anakin. And just having like the evil empire in front of her and the dragon to her left, I thought looked just amazing. And I thought they did a smart job of addressing Dany right away. And I thought it really worked. The whole story with Jon doing it. It was that tragic love story, very Shakespearean. And I think that this also did a really good job of giving Dany some credit to people who thought she was just made as a pure villain, which she wasn't. It was more of, oh, Dany did do a lot of good and a lot to change everything and, flip the wheel here. But she just got overboard. And that happens in life. She's almost like the president that means good for his country, but he gets war hungry in a way, and then you're killing innocent people by nuking somewhere. It's the same kind of concept, so it's not something that's totally out of character. And I thought it really worked here because I was seeing people complain that this is ruining a great female character in the show, but you have to look at it as like, no, she actually got an awesome character arc to me that came full circle. And if you wanted something that was a heroic female ending and that ended up good for them, you got Sansa and Arya there too. So I thought there was a great balance there. I didn't see that part of it just being oh, only males win. I didn't see that argument. I think that is false. I think it was just showing you humans here, and Sansa becoming queen was incredible. I thought Arya going on her own journey was perfectly Arya, and it sets up almost like her just going on adventures and exploring, discovering, which is totally her character. And Sansa always dreamed of being queenly, and it was cool though because it was updated Sansa. It's smart Sansa now. She's got a tough shell, but she still gets that thing she always wanted. And Jon and Tyrion both kind of went back to where they started, and I thought that worked because it showed you that in this episode they've both made mistakes, especially Tyrion, and it kind of justified Tyrion's stupidity now because I'm like, oh, I get why he's been a little off the past couple seasons, because it was giving you a lesson for him that he thought he knew it all in a way, even if you admit that or not. And it's kind of like that kind of clicks after all this happens that, wait a minute, this taking over and going for a throne isn't the right way. We need to do something like democracy, which comes from Sam here, which was brilliant. And them saying, oh, Tyrion's now paying for that by being the Hand again. So it's like, to me, him and Jon are just going back to the start and trying this again, just with humanity, trying to make the best world possible. And I thought that really worked. I thought that this was very satisfying. I think where people are going to get frustrated is obviously, which happens with every finale of every show I've watched, is loose ends and questions that weren't answered and not the crazy reveal or conspiracy. And yes, it's sure total letdown with Bran's story. I mean, they really didn't know much to do with the whole Night King thing and what's going on and where he went during that battle. But if you can kind of look past some of those things, most characters got a really satisfying end here, and I think that it really was a great tragic love story here with Dany and Jon, and it worked. And then Jon coming around and being the Queen Slayer here just like Jaime did. So that came full circle. And you see all these lovers like just tragically die in each other's arms, and it was just crazy seeing the dragon burn the throne. I love that because I thought the best message this show could make would be about having no throne, and it did exactly that. Taught about, two people trying to take over and be powerful. You become hypocritical in a way, and for Dany's flaw, it was like she says in her speech this episode, she's doesn't want them run by tyrants anymore, and she doesn't even realize she's being a tyrant doing that. So I think we see that in life all the time as well with people that have good intentions and they don't realize they're just becoming the person they hate, and I think that's what Dany's story was. And I thought that it was just such a beautiful episode. I think that there was some moments where it was, again, slow, but it worked here, and I just wish the whole season, again, was 10 episodes, and every episode was kind of a little more this pace and more believable, and this was kind of just a grounded in reality ending for this show, and I think it gave a win for the Starks, and this show starts from the Starks, and it gave justice to Ned. It also just set up in a way, you got all this tragedy, which kind of had to happen, and you were going to lose someone like Dany, but it paved the way for a bittersweet, happy ending in a way that was not cheesy and worked, and that they still had to pay for stuff where, they're doing stuff they don't want. Bran doesn't want to rule. Tyrion doesn't want to be the Hand. Jon's going back to Night's Watch, doesn't do that, but he's paying for killing the Queen, and it made sense. There wasn't anything that was like, come on, that's ridiculous in this episode, which we saw a lot this season, so I was really satisfied with that. I think that it's just interesting because while watching this, I did realize, I am sure HBO, they have a prequel already going, and then they said there's going to be 3 spinoffs. And sure, they could be based off other books George R. R. Martin's written in this universe, but I really think they're going to do something with Arya, if I'm going to bet anything, that she'll have her own show, or one of these characters. I mean, they've set them up that they've kept a lot of very strong characters alive. And I think that there is some business decision there, but they made it still work, and it didn't feel totally on the nose with that, and it was believable. It was earned, and yeah, I think if you would watch this episode without the prior anger of the previous episodes this season, and just maybe at the end, let's say you watched the first 4 seasons and you just threw this episode on, you'd be like, oh, that's a pretty solid finale. I think people who are hating on this episode went in wanting to hate this episode. That was going to happen no matter what, and they were already mad about the direction of this season, and you're not going to change that in one episode. However, for any complaints that were here, there was a lot of stuff that was explained, and that went from addressing Dany's turn with Tyrion's speech, addressing Tyrion's mistakes and owning it, and really just addressing the family issues and what is really going on beneath all of this. And I thought it did that so well, and I thought really this actually exceeded my expectations from where we were before this episode. Maybe not before the season watching this, but overall this was definitely the best episode of the season. So I'm probably I can guarantee you 90% of the people are not going to agree with me here, and they're going to think I'm nuts, but this is how I feel watching it. I'm not ignorant, though, about things I haven't answered, and again, this happens with every show, and that's why it's not going to get a 10, but I'm still giving this a 9.4 because it closed so many things really well, and it respected season 1, it respected it going back to the Starks, and it had a really good message. I do not know how they would have ended a show with just, yay, someone's sitting on the throne and taking over, and now they rule. Like, no, you need a theme, and I think it really blended well with the whole theme of the show from the beginning. And like I said, I've been a supporter of the Mad Dany story, and I thought this just gave it more weight and gave it more proof that, hey, this actually works if you can just open your mind to it. That's how I feel. Everyone has their own opinion. I'm really interested to hear what you guys have to say about the finale. Please comment below. I read every comment, try to respond as many as I can. Please subscribe. I do a bunch of shows, movies, interviews with celebs. I got Handmaid's Tale coming up and Big Little Lies, so you don't want to miss that. And please follow me at Steve Varley Warner for more of me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.